Hello. I'm going to be talking about the apology that Nigel Farage got after Coutts leaked false details about his financial affairs to the BBC. The last people to report on this is the BBC itself, with this headline: Nigel Farage gets apology from banking boss in Coutts row. And it's an interesting report because it doesn't mention the BBC's involvement in the false information that was put out, not once, and neither does it mention the cosy dinner that Alison Rose attended together with the BBC business editor Simon Jack. Coincidentally, the night before, he released a report that Farage was in some sort of financial trouble, and that's why Coutts had to close down his account. It was a complete lie from top to bottom, but it beggars the imagination, doesn't it, that this was totally coincidental, given that he was having, I don't know what, caviar and filet mignon with Dame Alison on the night before, some sort of media thrash. And then this is what the BBC does say. Banking boss Dame Alison Rose has apologised to Nigel Farage for deeply inappropriate comments made about him in a document on his suitability as a Coutts customer. I want to point this out. That document was not public. It was circulated within the bank. Farage found out about it only when he forced them to reveal the notes they had on him, and he got a shock when he saw that document. She does not apologise for her chit-chat with Simon Jack the night before a report was filed from the BBC, or through the BBC, that Farage was on dodgy financial ground. And furthermore, this report here does not, here they do, UKIP's ex-leader. He's the Brexit Party's ex-leader as well, they don't mention that. He's a bit of a financial wizard. They don't mention that either. Who had a lot of respect in the city. As a stock trader, I'm not sure. But anyway, he didn't leave under a cloud. But they call him UKIP's ex-leader. An organisation he left because he didn't like the way they were going politically. The right-wing drift, as he saw it. But this is what they call him, UKIP's ex-leader. And there is no direct report of the letter in this whole thing. The only place I found a direct report was in the Telegraph, of course. I had a lot of trouble actually finding that letter. Anyway, before I read the letter out, I want you to bear a couple of things in mind. Dame Alison takes no personal responsibility for what happened. And she more or less says in her letter that the banks need guidance from above. And this is a typical Remainer mindset. No personal responsibility. Just, we need orders. All right, let's see if I can find that letter. Should be here. Here we are. I highlighted a few things. Dame Alison Rose's apology in full. This was in the Telegraph. Freedom of expression and access to banking are fundamental. Fine words. It's such a shame that you don't stick to them. Oh, before I carry on, I'll tell you I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab. That's where I let you know when I have uploaded a new video. YouTube isn't being too careful about notifying people recently, so it might be worth subscribing to one of those. All the links are in the description, as are links to donation sites if you want to use them. But one of the best ways you can help me, and it doesn't cost you anything, is just click that like and share. And remember, subscribe and check you are actually still subscribed. YouTube's a bit careless about that as well. That is, I'm talking to YouTube people. BitChute, Rumble, Minds, they don't seem to have any problems hanging on to their subscribers. All right, let's have a look at this letter. I'm writing to apologise for the deeply inappropriate comments about yourself made in the now published papers prepared for the Wealth Committee. These now published papers were secret documents they kept on Nigel Farage, and they would not have let these papers out except he found a way of forcing them to release them. I would like to make it clear, I always distrust it when people say they want to make something clear. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be followed by a lie. And indeed, in this case, it certainly is. I'd like to make it clear that they do not reflect the view of the bank. Oh, yes, they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be documents circulating to your Wealth Committee, would they? They'd have been junked for the manure heap of slanders, half-truths and bad research, and semi-literacy that the whole document composed. I did mention in a quote in a comment, I did mention answering a comment under one of my recent videos that this is first-year student stuff. And if a first-year student had turned that lot in, I'd have been going straight to the head of department and telling him or her to tell them that they failed that year and they have to do it again or leave. Anyway, yeah, what I found very shocking, apart from the weird way they had of compiling information on Farage, was the absolutely abysmally poor quality of mind of a Coutts employee. I mean, you have an idea that a posh bank like that would have people who could actually think. All right, let's carry on. I believe very strongly. Yeah, you watch out for that as well. When somebody says they believe very strongly, you watch out for what comes next, because it's quite possible that this doesn't actually reflect their opinions. That freedom of expression and access to banking are fundamental to our society. So she says that, freedom of expression. And just down that paragraph, she talks about legally held political and personal views, which means she regards some political and personal views as not legal. How does that chime with her freedom of expression? For instance, the right to have 4 wives is perfectly acceptable in Islam. It is not legal in Britain. If a Muslim comes in and she knows that that Muslim has 4 wives and therefore has political and, well, at least personal views that are not legal, would she refuse to have that Muslim as a customer in the bank? I doubt it, especially if he was very, 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 very rich. And then she talks about legally held political and personal views. In what way have our personal and political views ever been illegal or should be illegal? Acting on some views, yes. Holding those views, what's she going to do? Grill us before we get a bank account on our personal and political views? Just look at the mindset of this woman. To this end, I would also like to personally reiterate our offer to you. Yeah. I would also like personally to reiterate our offer to you. She may be a dame, but she's not a grammarian. Of alternate banking arrangements at NatWest. I just like to point something out here. She says, so long as he holds legal, political and personal views, then she's really sorry for how Coutts has treated him. Here, have a bank account at NatWest. That is like spitting at someone and then recommending a dry cleaners. It's not an apology, it's an insult. Actually, it's making fun of a victim, having a laugh at his expense. It's the establishment trying to demean a man who has exposed their own arrogant and cavalier attitude to their customers, and the fact that they hold semi-literate opinions on him garnered from left-wing newspapers. Let's see what comes next here. I fully understand yours and the public's concern that the processes for bank account closures are not sufficiently transparent. Well, she's come out with something reasonable there, but I'd say that's a masterly piece of British understatement. I'm terrified by what this bank has done, because I'm quite sure it's not the only one. Customers have a right to expect their bank to make consistent decisions against publicly available criteria. I don't understand what she's saying there, but no, customers have a right to expect that a bank accepts their money and looks after it. That's all. The only time a bank should be involved is when they see clear evidence of, like, drug dealing or people smuggling or slavery. Otherwise, they just keep their sticky little fingers off people's account and make sure that the money is in a safe place. Anyway, without accepting any personal responsibility, she continues, to achieve this, sector-wide change is required. It's an external thing. That's such a typical Remainer idea, that orders should come from somewhere else to regulate. Please regulate us. We're not responsible for our own actions. And then she says, but your experience, highlighted in recent days, has shown we also need to put our own processes under scrutiny too. Well, she's saying something there. But your experience, not our bullying of you, your experience. As a result, I'm commissioning a full review of the Coutts process. Do you know, forgive me, Coutts, for not believing you. No, don't forgive me. I don't believe you. I believe this will be the usual stuff. They'll make a report, they'll say what they're going to do, and then they won't do it. These semi-literate reports will still be being churned out by sophomores. No, freshmen. The review will be reporting to me as NatWest Group CEO. And then I welcome the FCA's reviews of regulatory rules associated with politically exposed persons. So this is what I was saying about her getting orders from above. And where do these orders come from? Let's have a look. The European Union. These are rules that were cooked up by the European Union and embraced with great enthusiasm by Coutts, to the extent that they will cook up false information to create a dossier on one of their customers. Well, most of their customers, I'd say, if not all of them. So this is what the European Union is. And what she says down here, let's find that again. I welcome the FCA's reviews of regulatory rules associated with politically exposed persons, and we will implement the recommendation of our review alongside any changes that they or the government makes to the overall regulatory framework. And this is what I was talking about before. We'll make our reviews, but the government can give us the orders. That's her mindset. And whatever reviews they make, I hope they don't come too late for this poor chap here, a friend of Nigel Farage, who found himself shut out of his own Coutts account. And 15 months later, he's still waiting for an explanation. Because it wasn't just Farage who had his account closed. His family also had trouble with bank accounts. And obviously his friends, the tentacles went out. Anything in that report that had him associated with somebody else looks like they got the grief as well. Right. A former City trader debanked by Coutts last year without explanation is among so many others to have had their bank accounts closed, Nigel Farage has claimed. Mr. Farage said banks must provide reasons for closing customer accounts in the wake of the Coutts scandals. No, they should stop holding dossiers on the characters and opinions of their clients. They can hold a dossier on weird money transfers. And that should be it. Legally held opinions, indeed. All our opinions should be legally held. But not for people like Dame Alison, by the looks of things. All right, well, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.